Mankind was my business. And with that, Jacob Marley reminds Ebenezer Scrooge and all of the readers of Dickens' A Christmas Carol what our responsibility to each other is and what we should prioritize in our lives. Welcome. Today, as we start the Christmas season, I want to discuss the elements from A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens that touch my heart and remind me of how to live and treat others. According to a trivia site, A Christmas Carol has been made into over 200 movies and TV shows. Yet sometimes I think the producers of the movies have lessons and objectives that, although found in the original writings, may not necessarily be the thesis or focus that Dickens originally intended. For example, while important, Tiny Tim is not the focus of the story. I love this book and have seen the play several times. There you go, my copy of it. And I always cry at certain points of the book and the play. The book, although short and a fairly quick read, I just read it yesterday, always touches my heart and reminds me of how I should view and treat others. So today I want to look at just a few of the points Charles Dickens made in his writings that remind me how I should treat others. The first publication of this story was in 1843 and continues to sell and inspire today. Dickens wrote it as a social commentary, as he did his other works. When a young boy of 12, Dickens had to go work in a blacking ink factory, as his father and entire family, with the exception of himself, had been placed in a debtor's prison due to his father owing about 40 pounds. Dickens referenced debtors' prisons, workhouses, and the plight of the poor in his works in order to help others understand the need for social reform in England. Dickens had hope, though, for the state of humanity, as is seen in A Christmas Carol and other works. When I taught AP European history, I had students read and analyze one of Dickens' works over the Christmas break, which was 4 weeks long in Pajaro Unified School. So there was time. In order to better understand the social and class issues and distinctions of industrial England. And so we look at what I consider to be some of Dickens's important descriptors and points in the book. First descriptor that hits home for me is that of Scrooge. He was a tight-fisted hand at the grindstone. Scrooge, a squeezing, wrenching, grasping, scraping, clutching, covetous old sinner, hard and sharp as flint, from which no steel had ever struck out generous fire, secret and self-contained and solitary as an oyster. Wow. Are there times I resemble Scrooge? Are there times when I may be more focused on wealth and material comforts than on others? Scrooge then goes on to tell his nephew Fred what he thinks of Christmas. Merry Christmas! What right have you to be merry? What reason have you to be merry? You're poor enough. And so we have it, the connection that so many of us may have at times, that wealth equals happiness and merriment, that wealth is what gives one value. And Fred's response? There are many things from which I might have derived good, by which I have not profited. I dare say Christmas is among the rest, but I am sure I have always thought of Christmas time when it has come round. Apart from the veneration due to its sacred name and origin, if anything belonging to it can be apart from that, as a good time, a kind, forgiving, charitable, pleasant time. The only time I know of in the long calendar of the year when men and women seem, by one consent, to open their shut-up hearts freely. Therefore, uncle, though it has never put a scrap of gold or silver in my pocket, I believe that it has done me good and will do me good. And I say, God bless it. As we know, from this point on, Scrooge will learn lessons related to putting away gold and silver and to seek to improve the lives of others. Thus, when Jacob Marley tells him that mankind was my business, Scrooge will learn that mankind is also his business. And hopefully, we all learn the same lesson. Further along in his journey, the second of the three spirits, or as we reference it, the ghost of Christmas present, responds to a question from Scrooge about the pain people experience due to the spirits of Christmas. The spirit clarifies how many have perverted Christmas in order to personally gain from the season. There are some upon this earth of yours who lay claim to know us, and who do their deeds of passion, pride, ill will, hatred, envy, bigotry, and selfishness in our name, who are as strange to us and all our kith and kin as if they never lived. Remember that and charge their doings on themselves, not us. Regarding the workhouses and surplus population previously mentioned by Scrooge, the spirit challenges him with, will you decide what men shall live, what men shall die? It may be that, in the sight of heaven, you are more worthless and less fit to live than millions like this poor man's. While discussing his uncle and his uncle's beliefs and actions, Fred states, I am sorry for him. I couldn't be angry with him if I tried. Who suffers by his ill whims? Himself always. And so it is. When I prejudge others and am negative to all around me, who suffers? I do, and it is self-inflicted. The spirit goes on to expose dangers to humankind, ignorance and want, and explains that ignorance is the more dangerous of the two. Scrooge learns the lessons the Spirit sought to teach him and declares, I will honor Christmas in my heart and try to keep it all the year. I will live in the past, the present, and the future. The spirits of all three shall strive within me. I will not shut out the lessons that they teach. And he did. Scrooge was better than his word. He did it all and infinitely more. He became as good a friend and as good a man as the good old city knew. Some people laughed to see the alteration in him, but he let them laugh, and little heeded them, for he was wise enough to know that nothing ever happened on this globe for good, at which some people did not have their fill of laughter at the outset. Visual aids today. My challenge for myself is to try to honor the spirit and purpose of Christmas, to not let my Scrooge-like tendencies rule my heart and actions, to not look at others as less deserving, and to remember from James 2:13 that judgment without mercy will be shown to anyone who has not been merciful. Mercy triumphs over judgment. As we begin this Christmas season, let us all remember that mankind is our business and to greet each other in love. Thank you so much for spending some time with me.